San Francisco 49ers general manager just spoke to local media about a bunch of different things. It's his annual kind of pre-draft press conferences, but of course, one of the main things and the biggest topics in the entire NFL right now, the Brandon Aiyuk situation and what does his future hold? Is it with the San Francisco 49ers or could it be on a different team once the draft comes around? Now we are 3 days away from the NFL draft, which has been kind of our imaginary deadline up until this point in regards to what happens to Brandon Aiyuk. Now we've talked about every imaginable scenario under the sun. That's why it's great to hear from John Lynch, who had this to say, among many other things, regarding Brandon Aiyuk. He says, our wish is that he is here for the rest of his career. And that is obviously a pretty profound statement. I think it's important to look at that context and, you're hopeful, you're wishful. It's not definitive. Um, you want something doesn't mean things can't change, but I think it's a appropriate message, and it's exactly what I think we all want to hear. Of course, we want to hear people within the organization talk about how they want Brandon Aiyuk to be a 49er for a long time. All 49er fans probably feel that same way. Brandon Aiyuk is a fan favorite, so this is great to hear. But instead of me paraphrasing it, I'll pull some clips of John Lynch talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation specifically, and then we'll kind of react to it on the other side. Take a listen right here.
A couple years ago, there was a lot of talk about another receiver, Debo, and I said the same thing. But with BA, I've communicated on a couple occasions, on many occasions, our wish, and our wish is that he's here and a part of the Niners for the rest of his career. We're working through that, and as such, I was a player once, and I never liked my business being out in the public, and so I'm going to respect that. I'm not going to speak for their side. I can say we're having good talks, and I'm just going to leave it at that, and we'll focus on the draft here today. But that's just want to understand you guys have a job to do and respect that, but that's kind of the tone I'm going to take there. So with that, I'll open up for questions.
When you guys communicated, did you use emojis or words?
There you go. The first question. We communicate well, and we love the guy. So thank you.
Has he been here for?
He's not. Yeah, he's not here right now. No.
But has he been here previously at all?
No. Yeah. Sure. We receive calls about a lot of players. Yeah.
Given permission to his side to go.
I'm not going to get in all those details. We're really focused on BA being part of us. He's under contract, and we're looking forward to that.
Debo and Nick both said the years with their contract things went into the summer or
Yeah.
even later that it impacted the way they played that season.
Yeah.
It negatively impacted the way they played that season.
Right.
Knowing that, does that give any, just in terms of the timeline of trying to get something done with BA, does that?
Yeah, I think that's important. I think there is, human nature is that deadlines force these things, but I think you can always learn from situations, and you'd be a fool not to. I'd like to have our business tidied up at a little. Those things they ran the course they needed to, and I'm proud of our record of getting the guys we want to get done. But I'm right there with everyone else. I'd sure like it to happen sooner. So
both those guys said that it kind of affected them going into the season. Not having a normal routine and that stuff lingering. Is that a concern for you guys if it does linger?
Well, both those guys had fantastic seasons, but and they're fantastic players. But of course, I just alluded to it. You always want to learn, and if we can get it done sooner, I'm always for that. We all are.
Obviously, you welcomed Aiyuk contract questions, so I was going to ask you.
Wrong.
Is there any chance he is not on this roster Friday?
I wouldn't anticipate that. Yeah.
So what you will also hear there at the end is when he was asked if there's any chance that Brandon Aiyuk is not on the roster after the draft, he responded saying, I wouldn't anticipate that he's off this team. I would, basically expecting him to be here. Now, reminding you that is not definitive language, and I think it's always very important to pay attention to definitive language when these types of roster transactions or potential roster moves are being discussed. It is very rare that we get definitive language. Like, I think back to the Nick Bosa situation, it was always talked about Nick Bosa getting paid as definitively, like he is going to get paid. There was never a language used from John Lynch other than definitively paying, Nick Bosa. And of course, it was a difficult negotiation, but they got it done in the end. However, still saying I wouldn't anticipate that. Well, again, we don't anticipate a lot of things that happen in our lives, which keeps the door open for a potential. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Again, I still believe the most likely outcome is that Brandon Aiyuk is a San Francisco 49er beyond the draft. But again, he's not shutting it down necessarily. He's speaking in a sense of he is very hopeful. He's has wishful thinking. He doesn't anticipate. But again, we understand the NFL changes at a drop of a hat. Things can change rapidly, very quickly. And as he's talked about in this press conferences, deadlines have a way of ramping up those conversations. So, what does that mean in the long run? I think it's a positive when he says he wishes that Brandon Aiyuk will be here for the rest of his career. I think that is a good thing. I think that's something that we want to hear. I think the overall tone and the conversation around someone who is in a contract negotiation and most likely a difficult one came across as positive. Obviously, the 49ers are going to keep their hands, their cards close in any potential roster move. So I wouldn't expect them to divulge any plans, especially trading a player. Um, so again, it's still a situation that we're going to have to monitor. I don't think we can sit here and say like, "Oh, it's officially over." I think we just have to wait till the draft comes, and if we get through Thursday, we get through Friday, and Brandon Aiyuk is on the roster, rejoice because BA is here to stay. He will get the contract extension, and we'll be able to eventually put this all behind us. But like I said, I've seen crazier things happen in the NFL. So hey, for me personally, I'm just in a wait and see mode. It's been my process the entire offseason, and that's what it will continue to be through the draft. And I'll feel much better about this whole situation with BA once we get through rounds 1 through 3. But you guys let me know. You let me know your interpretation of what you heard from John Lynch about the Brandon Aiyuk situation in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.